Hey everybody, what's going on? Eric C here. Hope you guys are doing good. I'm doing just great. As you can see, I've been steadily working on Wally in a Box's Firefly SG, trying to get it done and back to him. I was hoping to get it back to him before Christmas, but it looks like it may be after Christmas. I finally got the parts that I've been looking for, and I'll do an unboxing of that pretty soon. Right now I am filing the little burr from clipping off the tang, because this thing has binding on it. The fretboard is not cut all the way from one side to the other side, so I gotta remove that tang on there to get the fret to sit nice and flat, even, and up against that fretboard the way it's supposed to. Alright, so that worked out good. Now, if you watched me put on the frets on this thing, I don't like a lot of fret waste, okay, number one. So what I end up doing is I'll kind of take the fret wire itself, put it a little bit in the fretboard, you know, whatever will go in, and just feel that there's an overhang, just a little bit of an overhang on the edge of the fretboard, not much at all. And I'll take my cutter, go all the way up against the fretboard, back off just a little bit, not much, and then I'll cut it from there. Go ahead and clip off the tang where the binding will be. File down the burr from the tang. Make that nice and smooth, or at least so I can't see a step up anymore. You will see a line there from the tang, you know, cut metal, but you shouldn't see it look like a step to where your nail or whatever can grab that, because that's going to leave a gap on each side of the fretboard, and the high E string could get caught underneath that depending on how you play. Low E string won't, but the high E string will. And I'm using a medium CA glue to glue these guys down. The nice thing about the medium is that it's not liquid enough to where it's like water, and it starts to seep into the cracks of the fretboard itself, leaving you a little bit of a mess on each side of the fret. But it's thick enough to stay on top of the opening for the fret, the pocket for it, or seat, whatever you want to call it, and not as thick as the heavies, to where it won't go seep down into it. So I'm cleaning out the fret seat right now. Make sure you get close to the corners as possible and dig out whatever crap is inside there. Again, you want this fret to sit in that seat really nice. I'll go ahead and line this up on top of the opening. Start pumping in a little bit of the CA glue. Like I said, this is kind of a thick, not heavy, but medium. And it takes a while to get down this tube to where I need it to be. There we go. And I'll just take this tube and kind of follow it down the center of that gap. And it'll fill in the seat for the fret, for the tang of the fret, without making a mess all over the place. I'll go ahead and put the fret in place, making sure I got about the same amount hanging off each side. Push it down a little bit. It will kind of slide into place when you push on it, and that makes the next step of clamping it down a lot easier, so it doesn't twist on you when you clamp it. And that's it. So now, as far as like bending the fret wire, I picked up this tool a long time ago. It's kind of nice, but there's no gauge on it, so you don't know exactly where it's set at. So what I've been doing is I'm taking a straight fret wire, sticking inside there, tightening the wheel down on top of it just a little bit at a time, running a piece of wire through there, and then matching it up with the radius block to make sure that it fits the same radius. If it's not touching on each side, then the middle is not touching the way it's supposed to, then I will adjust it down very little at a time, because you turn that wheel a lot and it's actually making a big difference on how far the roller is going down on top of the front wire. So when you make your turn, it actually is bending it a lot more. Another thing that I end up doing is, I don't know if I mentioned this before, is right here on the end of the fret wire, if you can see there's like a point. That's where it got pinched off when it was cut. I get rid of that. I do not want that because it makes it a little bit of a pain in the ass to file the edges of the fret with that sharp point there. When you have a flat edge, after cutting it, it ends up to where the file goes over it without having that point there where it's grabbing. So I'll go ahead and get my tang cutter, nipper, whatever you want to call it. Which I don't know why I bought one of these, because I have something similar in the garage that's for sheet metal. Again, making sure that that's nice and flat. Go ahead and slide this into place. My little bit of an overhang on one side. Cutters up to the fretboard, back it off just a hair. Cut it, nip it, and file it. Yeah, if your radius is not correct on your fretboard, if your radius is not correct with your wire that you're putting on your fretboard, I mean, you're going to end up having a lot of issues with the fret wire not seating properly. Even if you think you have the fret wire close, but still doesn't match the radius quite exactly, you're going to have a problem. If it's too straight, the ends will be sticking up. If it's too much of a radius in the fret wire, the middle is going to stick up. So it's a pain in the ass. You have to make sure you have it actually the way it's supposed to be to match with the fretboard, because if you don't, you're going to end up with problems. So I'm going to finish this fretboard up. This is why I don't cut the frets longer or any longer than they really need to be, hanging over the side of the fretboard, or in this case the edge of the binding. Makes this step a lot easier to file down the frets evenly and angle them at the same time without having to do a lot of work. No sharp edges.